Okay guys, so now that we've gotten this far, we are going to learn how to do some stuff on the back wall and maybe some end tables and things like that. So let me finish adjusting this just a little bit more. Okay. All right. Any questions up to this point though? Hold that thought. Hello. Hi. Mm-hmm. Is he leaving? Okay. Yeah, I'll send him. Huh? Bye. Hey, Casey, run down to the office for a second. Okay. So, I don't know if you can still tell. I still have my little diagonal line here from when we did the tile. So if you still have that, make sure you erase that. I'm going to erase that real quick. So now that we kind of know the basics of how to add things to our walls and our floor, I'll go ahead and show you just like I kind of did here on my sample, which I didn't finish the floor on this one. But on my sample, I did this little fireplace back here. So I'm going to show you how to kind of do something like that in case you want to. But does anybody want to guess on how we would start that? What we would start with? Because the beauty of this wall here is it's not one of the side walls that's angled towards our vanishing point. This one is just on a square wall, so that's going to make our life a little bit easier. But so how would we start something kind of like this? Anybody want to throw a suggestion out there? Huh? Start the. Do we need to worry about taking really much to the vanishing point on this one? Not really. Like we'll have a few lines that go to the vanishing point, but not that many. And I kind of realized I sort of did the back of my wall here wrong, but I'll fix it on my example. But so I'm going to start with just basically vertical and horizontal lines. I think I'm going to start with just this kind of line here. I've got the edge of my bricks kind of in line with the edge of my opening there. I'm not quite sure what it's technically called. I don't have a fireplace. One day, hopefully I will. All right, so, and just kind of starting however wide you want it to be. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to start with this area. Because I realized after I'd started here and then when I did this part, this does not look right. This kind of looks like this is floating up into the space here, and it shouldn't. The bottom of my opening should probably be flush with the bottom of my wall. So I'm going to correct that as we do this one. So I'm going to start with that opening. And I mean, most fireplaces would probably be centered on the back wall, but a lot of them are also in the corner, and I've seen several houses where it's kind of shoved off to one side of the back wall, which personally I think that looks weird, but that's just me. So I'm going to start with vertical line. I'm going to start with a vertical line over here. Just however wide you want it to be. I'm not going to take the opening higher than my eye level because I don't think it would technically be higher than my eye level. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Okay. And I'm going to connect it with a horizontal line at the top. I don't need to worry about the horizontal line at the bottom because my floor is already doing that for me. Okay. Now, I do want this to look like it's, let me back this up a little bit. If I'm starting there, I need to bring these lines out probably a little bit. Now, I'm going to cut it in just a little bit. So just like I have my window, which you can't really see now, but we had the window still in there where it was, but then I covered it up with the curtain. But the same way we kind of did this here too and made it look like it had some depth to it. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do just a little short line. I don't want to go too far in. I could always adjust the front of my fireplace out though if I wanted to. Hold on. this do? No, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So just slightly. This time, though, when I do my lines, instead of horizontal like this, I am going to do them leaning towards the vanishing point. But I'm going to keep them short, okay? Again, this way it looks like it's kind of cut into the wall. Let's take it. That's not how I want to keep it up. Oops, work. I mean, you could on this back wall too. You could just have like a big window, or you could have this maybe be where your doorway is, or whatever. But since we're learning how to do this stuff, I figured I might as well teach you something a little bit more complicated, just so that you know how to, and then if you want to do something easier, you can. All right, so now I'm going to do my vertical lines up. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to connect it here in the back so that I have a vertical lines in the same place. So I'm going to, just with my horizontal line, determine how far back I want that to go. Then I'm going to add my horizontal line, and then whatever extra's hanging off, I'll just erase that. And then from those corners, I'll do my vertical lines, go and cut. Let me know if I go too fast. Y'all see how it looks like it's kind of cut into the wall? So if you wanted to, and just so that you guys get to picture a little bit more, you could kind of add just some little logs, sort of, just kind of piled up in there, overlapping, maybe, and then you would have to erase that line that runs behind them. Okay, and then you could just do some little stones. And honestly, a lot of the modern fireplaces are just almost as simple as that, with just like a little mantle on top. But we're going to do just a little bit more, because I want to teach y'all how to do bricks. Because some people like that exposed brick inside houses. I do. I think it's like one of those looks that never goes old. It goes out of style. But before I do like exposed bricks or anything, I'm going to go ahead and add like my mantle. So here, this is kind of what we have so far. So I'm going to essentially the top of that square that I have here for that back, I'm just going to extend that line, make it a little bit longer, and then kind of make this kind of rectangle. Did y'all see that at all, or did I shove it off the screen? So just make sure when you extend that line, your ruler is still horizontal with your page. You can make it as wide as you want. Okay. So I'm going to add the height of my mantle, and then I'll go back and connect it at the top. I have parallel vertical lines for that, to the end of my mantle. So just so that you can see the next step, am I moving too fast again, guys? Okay. So my next step, so like I have this part and I have this part, but when I come back here and add the top, I'm going to also kind of skip around my mantle, and I'm going to just extend that vertical line down a little bit farther to like kind of finish the casing of the bottom. So I'm going to let that mantle kind of stick out a little bit on both sides. Now, we're going to probably still add a couple more pieces of furniture, so don't erase that vanishing point. Keep it there. It is going to kind of be in the way a little bit as we add our bricks, but it'll be fine. So when we do bricks, just like when we did our flooring, we came down here so we had some even spacing. We kind of measured all this out. We're going to want to measure out like the spacing of our vertical lines too. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to probably do, because this is my back wall, so everything's going to appear a bit smaller back here. I'm going to come in and do, I'll get ready, 1/8 of an inch. That's kind of hard to see on camera. And then I'm also going to turn my paper sideways just because it's more comfortable. I'm going to measure it out this way too. I'm really just going to do one side because I'll be able to line my ruler up just fine. Okay? So with that, I'm going to start with my horizontal lines first, and I want to show you why, just so that you don't get ahead of yourself. Your horizontal lines, when you do bricks, are always going to be long lines all the way across. If you were to do bricks, say you do it on like your wall, that goes to your vanishing point, all of these lines, just like when we were talking about like doing a flag on the wall or something, all those lines are going to go this way, but then the vertical lines are going to alternate rows, if that makes sense. So anytime, just kind of keep that in mind. You want to start with the ones that run across, not up and down. Man, I'm sorry. I think I need to adjust my camera because every time I try to straighten it up for me, it's like crooked for you guys. Okay. All right, so I've got those, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to do my vertical, but I'm going to use these as my spacing, but I'm going to do every other line. It is important when you're doing bricks, if you don't have those lines that we're doing right now as vertical, and they start to lean, it really warps your wall. So make sure you keep those vertical. So if I were to do them on a wall that was, again, angling, you want them vertical. A lot of people tend to do like this, and then it just kind of distorts the whole image of what you're going for. But if you do it on a wall going towards your vanishing point, just like on our tiles, it may not be a bad idea to do like the diagonal line across, or you can just really eyeball it and just make sure they get closer and closer together as they get closer to that vanishing point. Okay. So, questions so far? So I'm not going to show you the steps to it, but say you wanted to add a highlight, or not a highlight, a skylight into your ceiling. How would you start that? Because we pretty much have done the same starting steps on most of this stuff. Or am I too far ahead to ask that question right now? Y'all still working on the bricks? Okay. Yep. So you would start, if I was to do a skylight, I would start it just like I would a window. I'm going to start my line up here. You can't really see. I can scoot it down. You would start your line up here, and then you would take it to your vanishing point. You would end it. Okay? I'm drawing really light because I don't really want a skylight in this room. But then you would make it look like it's cut in, and you would connect, and then you would angle towards your vanishing point. So you could have a skylight if you wanted. Okay, of course, doing that with your ruler and not just freehanding it like that. But for future references, if that's what you want, that's how you can achieve that. Okay? All right, so we good with our fireplace? All right, I'm going to zoom out. Y'all want to learn how to do a rug, or do you think y'all understand how to do a rug? Huh? Yeah. You want to see it, or you know how? Okay. Yeah, so same thing, like you would just like we did, we'd do the long line, we would take it to the vanishing point, we'd end it. You might do a border around it, or if you did the little fringes, these would also have to angle towards your vanishing point, the ones on the top and the bottom. The ones on the side would just probably go horizontal. So that's how you would do that. So to save some time, I'm going to go ahead and not do that, but I'm going to show you, maybe we make like, a table in the middle of this room. We need like a coffee table, I think. So, I kind of wish I didn't have. I'm going to actually show you on this one, so that all the extra lines of my floor don't make y'all confused. So I'm going to start. Do we want like a round coffee table, or do we want a square coffee table? Round one. Try something a different shape maybe. So if we were doing a square one, we would do it starting it just the same as everything else. We're going to start with that line. We're going to take it to the vanishing point, end it. We're going to make it look thick by adding a couple little vertical lines at the end and connecting it, and then adding our legs. So if we did a round one, so anything round in perspective is going to be more oval. You can't really utilize the vanishing point so much with a round shape. You really just have to eyeball it and try to get it as close as you can. But it would be a bit more probably small at the top, and it might be a little bit wider at the bottom. I'm trying to think here. Hold on. Huh? I would sketch it, like get the shape, and then just erase the lines that you need. And then, but in the future, if I didn't need to show you like how to do all that, I would probably do your floor last. So that way you're not having to work around a table and stuff. Let me see. So it would be kind of wider. Honestly, this may not be worth the effort. You would have edge. So it's not the best. honestly, you might want to stick to a square one because you're going to get it more exact, you know? Like, even me, I'm kind of like, I struggle a little with getting it how it would need to go in perspective. Maybe I need to bring this down a little bit for you. And it's going to look gigantic, I think. Yeah, I'm going to say make your lives easier and don't do a round one. Just to be completely honest, I wouldn't. It's just harder. Unless you just want to spend a lot of time on that. So, board is a table. I don't want the bottom of my table, like the legs, to probably be any lower than my couch. So I'm going to kind of mark a point here where I know the bottom of my legs are going to go. So that I just kind of know that's as low. I don't need to take the top of my table lower than that. I'll come back and I'll do my legs after I establish the top of my table. So I'm going to go ahead and do my line for my table. Okay. And I put a line a little longer than that, so I'm going to move that line down. Okay. That's going to be, yeah, I like that better. That's going to be the top of my table, and then I'm going to take it to the vanishing point. And end it. I would probably just for, you probably don't want a table longer or like positioned differently than your couch, so I'm going to make sure it's shorter than my couch. So there's kind of the top of my table. Which you can see how that would look like a rug too. If you wanted a rug, you could, essentially that's your steps. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you're following along. I'm going to go ahead and add the two little edges to my table to give it some depth. And then connect it. Am I moving too fast, guys? I'm hoping by now y'all kind of like, okay, these are some basic steps that I'm going to just kind of utilize throughout everything I do. And then I'll add my legs. Okay, so do my legs look finished like that? Do I need to add anything else, or am I done with it? Huh? Maybe. So I would see the front of these legs, but I would also, based on where this table's positioned with that vanishing point in the middle, I'm going to also see the inside of my legs in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make them however thick I want them to be. So I'm taking the inside back to the vanishing point, and then I'm going to do my vertical line up on the inside to end it. So then my legs look like they're sturdy. And if you wanted to, you could come in here and add a little vase or something. Some flowers. That's a really pitiful vase and flowers, but. So again, if you were to add like an end table over here, you follow the same steps. But is there anything you guys want me to show you? Do y'all want to show, like, see a fan or anything on the ceiling or anything else that you're like, man, I'd really like to maybe put this in my room, but I don't know how to do it. Shelves? Okay. So, shelves on what kind of wall? Like maybe above my couch here? Okay. So just like shelf, just free hanging shelves? Gotcha. Okay. So we're going to do a little vertical line up here. You want me to show you one or two shelves? I could show you one and then you just repeat the steps. So I'm going to do like a little short line here. And then I'm going to pull off the wall just a little bit for the edge. Just like we've kind of pulled off the wall for my other shapes here, we're going to do probably just a little skinny edge that we want for the end of our shelves. We're going to start with that as a rectangle, or however long you want that shelf to be. Let me see. What would be my next step? We would take it to the vanishing point. So we would take these two. Would I take this top corner to the vanishing point? I would not, because it's above my eye level. So remember that vanishing point's above my eye level. But I might take this one. So let me look and see. I'll check. Yep, I would take it because you can tell. Let me scroll this down. It's hard. It's not much, but if I were to draw a line, it doesn't cut straight into my shape. So I would take that bottom corner too. It'll be really narrow and it will really kind of run into that bottom corner, but that's okay. So you just take those lines however long you want that shelf to be. Okay. So I have my shelf kind of set in farther than my couch. If I wanted it in line, I would have wanted to extend up my ruler, line it up with there, and then set it back here, just future reference. So since I kind of have this set in, I'll probably try to set it in a little bit over here. So I'm going to do a vertical line here. And then you can't really see it at all because it's so small, but I will have a horizontal line right back in here, ending it. And all this extra. So again, the higher up we have our shelf, the more of the bottom we'll see. We're really close to the same eye level as the vanishing point, so that's why we just see a little bit. If it's closer or below our eye level, we're going to see more of the top of the shelf. Okay, anything else? We following along, Madison? We following along? Okay, so if that is it, which if you start working and you're like, you get an idea that you want to do, but you don't know how to accomplish it, and it wasn't something we went over, I can help you figure it out. So I think, though, that is pretty much it. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and have you guys get out your sketchbooks and kind of, you don't have to use a ruler or anything, but I want you to kind of sketch an idea out for your room. Like, is it going to be a bedroom? Is it going to be a living room? Is it going to be a kitchen or a bathroom? Is it going to be a man cave or whatever, a craft room? But you're going to kind of come up with your ideas in your sketchbook, and that can either be sketching them out. I would start with like a list of ideas. Like, I want a big bed, I want a rug, I want Xbox, whatever. But you're going to kind of design your own room, okay? So maybe you want wallpaper or paint. Maybe you want, I don't know, give me some other ideas. A fish tank or, Paintings, yeah. Maybe you want a tanning bed in there. I don't know. Some people like that. So, all right. So that is what you guys are to do now.